Afternoon, ma'am and dear classmate. I'm Zensil Soto. Here is my report, the trust function.
The trust function. Trust is a contract that gives an individual or an institution the authority to hold legal title to assets while managing them for benefit of others. Trust is also a fiduciary relationship in which one party, the grantor, gives a second party, the trustee, the right to hold title to property or assets for the benefit of a third party, the beneficiary.
The trust function. Trust sa Tagalog, itiwala, ito yung isang pinaka-importanting bagay na binibigay ng mga customer sa bangko. Kahit sa ang serbisyo, importante itong trust. Kahit sa relasyon or sa pagkakaibigan, importante yan. Sa bangko, ang pagtitiwala ang mga pera ng mga tao. Kaya kung walang ganito, may hirapan makakuha ng customer ang mga bangko kasi mababa ang consumer's trust sa kanila.
Nature of trust. The nature of trust agreement implies the presence of complete faith and confidence among the parties.
Nature of trust. Meron tatlong nature ang trust. Ito yung the guarantee, the trustee, at yung nagtitiwala sa trustee, tas yung beneficiary yung makaka-receive ng bagay na pinagkatiwala ni grantee sa trustee. Origin of trust companies. Ang unang trust company ay yung nasa New York na Farmers Fire Insurance and Loan Company. Bank Trust Department. Legal State Administration Trust. Ang hinahandle nito ay ang mga produkto papasok ng bansa. Agency Services. Ang mga hinahandle naman nito ay ang safekeeping, custodianship, and escrows, or yung mga financial institution na namamagitan sa buyers and sellers. Accountings Division. Namamahala ng mga record at tinitingnan lahat ng transaction. Asset Management Division. Ito yung mga firm na nagbibigay ng funds sa iba't ibang individual at mga investor. Fund Management or Investment Division. Sila yung in charge sa mga produkto o serbisyo na ino-offer sa mga client. The Trust Bank. Merong 8 activity ang Trust Bank. Number 1, to act trustee for a corporation asset under mortgage bond issue. Number 2, to act as transfer agent or registrar of stocks and bonds. Number 3, to act as guardian of a minor's interest. Number 4, to act as executor of last will and testament. Number 5, to act as administration of estates. Number 6, to act as depository for escrow deposit, valuables, or other securities. Number 7, to act as assignee, receiver, or depository. Number 8, to act as an advisor. Individual trust. May 5 nakapaloob na uri. Ito ay ang voluntary of living trust. Tinatawag itong personal trust. Number 2, testamentary trust. Dito ay nag-a-appoint ng trustee gamit ang will. Dito nagagamit ang last will and testament. Number 3, insurance trust. Ito naman ay nare-render kapag ang trust department ay nagbibigay ng insurance trust agreement sa trustee. Number 4, employee benefits trust. Ito ay ang mga pwedeng makuha ng mga employee katulad ng voluntary of living trust, testamentary trust, insurance trust, employee benefits trust. Number 5, investment management services. Minamanage naman nito ay ang mga investment. Corporate trust. Ito yung mga gawa ng mga korporasyon o galing sa mga tiwala galing sa korporasyon. Number 1, collateral trust. Ito yung mga lupa na kapag di nakapagbayad ng utang ay yun yung kinukuha ng bangko o ari-arian. Number 2, sinking fund trust. Ito yung pambabayad ng mga funds sa pamamagitan ng paghiram ng bonds.
Narito ang isang video para mas maunawaan natin kung ano ang trust.
A lot of people think trusts are only for the super wealthy. Not true. Trust can benefit anyone who wants to manage how they leave their money to their family. A trust can give you control over who gets what and when, how they get it, and why. How do trusts work? Trusts are like containers you can put things into. You, the grantor, can place assets like your house, life insurance policies, investments, and other possessions into a trust. These assets become property of the trust and are managed by your trustee. You appoint the trustee to ensure your wishes are carried out. As grantor, you decide who receives the assets inside your trust. Typically, your spouse, your children, grandchildren, and charities of your choice are the beneficiaries who receive the assets held in trust. When you create a trust, you determine how the funds inside your trust will be used and when they will be dispersed. For example, you may want to use assets in your trust to jumpstart your children's careers when they're 25, or supplement their retirement when they turn 60, or pay college tuition expenses for your grandchildren, or provide annual scholarships to your alma mater. Your appointed trustee ensures everything is managed according to your instructions. It's important to know there are different kinds of trusts for different purposes. Some are designed to manage who receives your assets and when. Others may offer tax planning benefits. Make sure you work with financial experts so that your trusts are properly structured to carry out your specific intentions. Trusts can offer you and your family many financial advantages. Talk with your advisor and an estate planning attorney. Find out how trusts can help you create a lasting legacy for those you love the most.
Our next reporter is Hubert Alba.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako nga pala si Schubert Alba. As we all know, banks receive deposit from individuals and businesses and make loans with the money. It is also called as saving institution. But how can we sure that we can entrust our money on the bank? I will tackle that on my report. I will also tackle why banks makes better trustees. The banks today are allowed by the central bank to engage in trust function. Likewise, trust companies are sanctioned to engage in commercial banking function. Thus, banks provide many advantages to act as trustees as against as individual acting as such. Some notable aspects are: number 1, banks being corporate entities have perpetual lives and therefore have the possible of renewing their charter upon expiration after a period of time. This is not quite the case for an individual. Banks has corporate entities such as the board of directors na nagmamanage ng pagpapatakbo ng bangko. Ang mga bangko ay merong perpetual lives, meaning kahit umalis o mabawasan ang mga shareholders, hindi nito mapipigilan ang pag-function ng isang bangko. Meron din silang binibigay na charter or a written grant kung saan your right and privilege are defined. Number 2, because of the continuity of existence, this would lead to stable policies and uniform procedure attuned to current trends, which are relatively impossible in the case of individuals. Dahil hindi natitigil at continuous ang function ng mga bangko, makakasiguro tayo na stable at adaptive sila sa mga pagbabago. Number 3, banks are in the better position to exercise prudence in administering trust and investing funds due to constant state supervision. Makakasiguro tayo na napapangasiwaan at binibigyang halaga o atensyon ng mga bangko ang trust na binibigay ng isang individual. Number 4, banks have an impersonal and therefore impartial relationship with the beneficiaries under trust agreement. Banks treat all people equally. They are fair and just. Number 5, in the investment of funds, the bank officer can make good use of their wide and diverse experience and also of their good judgment. Bank officers have wide experience in managing other people's bank account. In short, alam nila kung paano i-handle ang pera mo. Number 6, banks have definite place and hours to transact business for the convenience of those they serve. They provide convenient at definite service for their customers. Number 7, banks are required by law to pursue an amount at least equal to the securities, properties, or money held in trust by them. Number 8, banks are governed by law, rules, and regulation regarding their operation. Number 7 and 8 are somewhat the same. This explain na sumusunod sa mga law ang mga bangko at kung may mangyari man sa pera mo, you can take legal action for that. Advantages of agency services. Trust services are usually what we call personalized services. Because of the distinct feature of serving one interest and needs, the bank's trust department, as already stated, also act as depository for individuals and corporations. Some of the advantages derived from such service are follow. Number 1. Security are comparatively after because bank have fireproof and bulletproof to keep them in. Safe sa bangko ang pera ng mga individual dahil may special security sila. Number 2. Bank officer handling trust services are properly bonded. Properly secure ang mga bangko. Number 3. If the customer wishes to negotiate a loan, he could easily do so by referring to the securities held in trust. He would then be read on the undue delay in loan processing. There will be no delay in the processing when negotiating with the banks. Number 4. Whenever the owner wishes to sell his securities, he can do so with the least delay and without loss because they are kept in good delivery condition. As mentioned earlier, bank also a transfer agent and registrant of stock and bonds, hence disposition of the bank at keeper of security. Like the previous one, this also explained that there will be no delay in any process. Individuals are ensured that the money that will be given to them is hindi kulang at nasa good condition. At sigurado na safe ang pera nila kahit i-transfer dahil may safe security sila. Number 5. In the collection of dividend on coupon bonds, the customer is relieved of looking after such coupon. He also derived the convenience of being free from the mechanics of collecting interest payments. Sa bangko, fair ang hatian at walang hassle sa pagkuha ng mga interest. Number 6. The owner of the security will likewise obtain the proper financial advice with regard to the security. Whenever to sell or to buy, if there is any appreciation or depreciation in value. Every individual can still manage their account and can obtain proper financial advice on handling their accounts. Investment of trust funds. The investment of trust funds must be done in conformity with the wishes of the trustor as explicitly spelled out in the trust agreement. Hence, the term of the will of the testator, the bond indenture, the court order, or the deed of trust should be followed when investing the funds. But in some cases, discretion is given to the bank trustee and it expected to use good judgment based on experience and principle of investment. Because of the fact that the bank must maintain the trust of the trustor, as well as to invite future trust business, it almost always invests the fund cautiously and judiciously. Speculative investment are ruled out and investment are chosen on the basis of safety, certainty of income, marketability, and sometimes shiftability. In order for the bank or a trustee to find its way clear in making worthy investment and to set a policy, it takes into consideration the size of trust funds. Meaning we can really entrust our money on the bank because they have legal basis and was cautious and judicial in handling our money. Natural lang na magbigay sila ng mga gantong assurance at services para makuha din nila ang loob ng kanilang future customers. In case of doubt as to the investment, the trust company or trust department of the bank only invest in investment allowed by law. To further enhance the safety, the investment are diversified either as to kind, to maturity, and in some other way. In no event must the personal advantage of the trustee be the guide in the investment of trust fund. Of course, in care of banks, the personal element is minimized due to its corporate structure. Bank also invest but only in the investment na inaalaw ng law. They also consider the term and condition that needed. Safe din ang personal information natin sa mga bangko. Please make sure that our money is safe at walang labis o walang kulang bago mapunta sa atin. Di rin makukuha ng iba ang pera natin dahil administer ang Common Trust Fund. Regulation of Trust Companies. The regulation governing trust companies are a trust department of banking institution operating in the Philippines. Are quoted here under Act contained in Chapter 9 of the new General Banking Act, thus Section 79. Authority to engage trust business. Only a stock corporation or person duly authorized by the Monetary Board to engage in trust business shall act as a trustee or administer any trust benefit or hold property in trust or behalf of others. For purpose of this act, such a corporation should be referred to as a trust entity. Isinasaad sa section na ito, tanging mga korporasyon na individual lamang na inaprobahan ng Monetary Board ang maaaring kilalanin bilang mga trust entities. Section 80. Conduct of Trust Business. A trust entity shall administer the fund or proper under its custody with a diligence that a prudent man would exercise in conduct of an enterprise of a like character and with similar aim. Sinasaad sa section na ito, karapatan ng trustor at sinasaad din dito na kailangan munang aprubahan ng trustor ang trustee bago ito gumawa ng action ukol sa paglabas ng pera nito. Section 81. Registration of Article of Incorporation and Bylaws of Trust Entity. The Security and Exchange Commission shall not register the Article of Incorporation and Bylaws or any amendment thereof any trust entity unless accompanied by a certificate of authority issued by the Bangko Sentral. Sinasaad naman ng section na ito na hindi dapat magrehistro ng mga Article of Incorporation o Bylaws o amendment ang Security at Exchange Commission maliban kung ito ay binigyan ng sertipiko ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Section 82. Minimum capitalization. A trust entity before it can engage in trust or other fiduciary business shall comply with the minimum paid-in capital requirement which will be determined by the Monetary Board. Sinasaad ng batas na ito na kailangan munang mag-comply ng isang trust entity sa Monetary Board bago sila magsagawa ng trust of fiduciary business. Section 83. Powers Trust Entity. A trust entity, in addition to the general power incident to corporation, shall have the power to. Ang trust entity kasama sa kanilang general power incident sa mga corporation ay may kakayahan din na kumilos bilang trustee sa mga mortgage o bond issue ng kahit anong munisipalidad, corporation o tao. Maaaring maging guardian ng isa sa minor o incompetent person at maaari ding maging receiver o depository ng anumang pera na ibinayad sa korte under the jurisdiction of the court. Maaaring maging tagapagpatupad ng will o huling habilin ng isang tao. Kumilos bilang administrator ng estate ng sinumang pumanaw na tao na meron at walang will. May kakayahan na tumanggap at magsagawa ng anumang trust for the holding, management, and administration of any estate. May kakayahan na magtatag ng common trust fund na sumusunod sa mga tuntunin na ibinigay ng Monetary Board. Section 84. Depository for the faithful performance of trust duties. Before transacting trust business, every trust entity shall deposit with the Bangko Sentral as security for the faithful performance of its trust duties. Cash or security approved by the Monetary Board in amount equal to at not less than 500,000. Sinasaad sa section na ito na ang karapatan ng trust entity at mga kakayahan nila tulad ng halimbawa ng paghawak at paglabas ng mga deposito ay naprubahan ng Monetary Board at ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Section 85. Bond of certain person for the faithful performance of duties. Before an executor, administrator, guardian, trustee, receiver, or depository appointed by the court enter upon the execution of his duties, he shall upon order of the court file a bond in such sum as the court may direct. Sinasaad dito na ang bond ng certain person or faithful performance of duty ay dapat na sinasaksihan ng korte at ito ay dapat isinasagawa. Section 86. Exemption of trust entity from bond requirements. No bond or other security shall be required by the court from the trust entity for the faithful performance of its duties as court-appointed trustee, executor, administrator, guardian, receiver, or depository. However, the court may, upon proper application, with it showing special cause thereof, post a bond or other security for the protection of funds or property confident to much entity. Sinasaad sa section na ito na exempted o hindi kasama sa mga bond requirement ang isang trust entity. Section 87. Separation of trust business from general business. The trust business and all funds, properties, or securities received by any trustees entity as executor, administrator, guardian, trustee, receiver, or any depository shall be kept separate and distinct from the general business, including all other funds, properties, and assets of such trust entity. The accounts of all such funds, property, or securities likewise be kept separate and distinct from the accounts of the general business of trust entities. Sinasaad na hiwalay ang trust business sa general business. Section 88. Investment limitations of trust entity. Unless otherwise directed by the instrument creating the trust, the lending and the investment of funds and other assets acquired by the trust entity as executor, administrator, guardian, trustee, receiver, or depository of the state of any minor or other incompetent person shall be limited to loan or investment as may be prescribed by law. Monetary Board of any court of competent jurisdiction. At paglabas ng mga investment of funds at iba pang asset ay dapat inaaprubahan ng batas ng monetary board anumang korte. Section 89. Real estate acquired by the trust entity. Unless otherwise specifically directed by the trustor or the nature of the trust, real estate acquired by the trust entity in whatever manner and for whatever purpose shall likewise be governed by the relevant provision of the Section 52 of this Act. Sinasaad na ang real estate acquired by trust entity, anuman ang purpose ay dapat sumunod batay sa mga nakalahad sa Section 52 ng batas na ito. Section 90. Investment of non-trust fund. Investment of funds other than trust fund of a trust entity which is a bank, financing company, or any investment house shall be governed by the relevant provision of this Act and other application and other applicable law. Sinasaad sa section na ito na ang pagsasagawa ng investment of funds ay dapat kasama sa mga relevant provision ng batas na ito at iba pang batas na katulad nito. Section 91. Sanction and penalties. A trust entity or any of its officer and directors found to have willfully violated any pertinent provision of this Act shall be subject to the sanction and penalties provided under Section 66 of this Act, as well as Section 36 and 37 of the New Central Bank Act. Sinasaad sa section na ito na ang sinumang na hindi sumunod sa mga napag-usapan at inilahad ng batas na ito ay tatanggap ng kaparusahan at penalty na nakasaad sa Section 66, 36 at 37 ng batas na ito. Section 92. Exemption of trust asset from claims. No asset held by the trust entity in its capacity as trustee shall be subject to any claims other than those of the parties interested in the specific trust. Sinasaad sa section na ito na hindi maaaring kunin ng ibang individual o anumang party ang trust asset ng isang individual kung hindi niya ito inaaprubahan. Section 93. Establishment of branches of a trust entity. The ordinary business of a trust entity shall be transacted at the place of business specified in its article of incorporation. Such trust entity may, with prior approval of the Monetary Board. Sinasaad dito na ang business of trust entity ay dapat lamang nagawin sa mga lugar na inaprubahan ng Monetary Board, Bangko ng Pilipinas at sa mga lugar ng may katulad na gawain. Narito ang na tumugma sa mga section na ito. New Central Bank Act RA 7653 in 1993. The Congress enacted Republic Act No. 7653, otherwise known as the New Central Bank Act, which established ang Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas as the country's independent central monetary authority. Dito na po natapos ang aming report. Maraming salamat po.